Hi, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today. I wanted to remind you about the November giveaway. Every year, I offer one complimentary past life regression session as a way to give back and show my gratitude for your support. Here is how to enter. If you listen on Apple Podcasts, simply leave a review and share what you enjoy most about the show. Your review will be automatically entered into the giveaway from the time of this announcement. If you listen on Spotify, you can participate by giving the podcast a rating and leaving a comment on the most recent segment you've just listened to. Your name will be automatically entered into the giveaway. By the way, it's going to be the name of your podcast platform name. That's how it's going to be announced. The winner will be announced in the very first December podcast, so please stay tuned. I also want to take a moment to thank each and every one of you for your ongoing support. This podcast has now reached over 80 countries, and I'm truly honored to share this work and these extraordinary stories from my clients with listeners all over the world. And now for today's segment. We're going to explore a fascinating phenomenon that occasionally occurs during past life regression sessions. Have you ever noticed that some clients describe their experiences in incredible detail, as if they're reliving the story in real time? It's not very common, but I've had a few clients who become storytellers of their own past lives. In these sessions, I actually do very little guiding because they're just naturally unveiling their experiences with vivid, flowing detail. I'm actually in awe. It's almost as if they're reading the pages of a novel. Today's session is one of those rare and captivating experiences. This particular client had previously been on the podcast, and you can listen to her first past life regression session in episode 9, The Shipwreck. And again, amazing detail. Another person who comes to mind as a true past life storyteller, of course, is Josh, the Dragon Slayer. And if you have not heard that session, you will definitely want to. Incredible detail, storyteller. It really is enjoyable. And another one, Rebecca the Ghost Guide. If anyone knows her from TikTok, Rebecca the Ghost Guide, her sessions are filled with incredible details. I have had 3 sessions with her. I believe one of them is on my YouTube channel, and I'm going to be sure to share some of her sessions here in future episodes for you to enjoy. Again, incredible storyteller. All right, well, enjoy today's show. What impressions do you have at the moment?
I'm on a dirt street filled with people. I'm in a white shift with my hands tied behind my back, and they're all jeering at me. They call me a witch.
Okay. I want you to just take a breath and just float above the scene. Just disconnect from me, and you can just be the observer. Can you do that for me?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me everything that's happening from your perspective.
There's a man on a white horse in uniform. He's a British officer. I'm being pulled behind him with ropes around my hands. I'm trying to keep up, but I keep falling. There's people I've helped who are now calling me a witch. I'm walking closer to a square in a village, and they're forcing me up on a platform to be hung. I'm standing and I'm afraid, but I know that this was how it was always meant to end. Because he died before me, and now there's nothing for me now.
Who died before you?
Jacob did. Jacob died. He died because he was trying to protect me. I told him not to, but he did. He knew that I wasn't a witch. He knew that I was a healer. I was just trying to help everybody. And I was different. Now they're putting the noose around my neck.
Let's just hit the pause button right here. I'd like to explore your life with Jacob. Would you like to do that?
Yes.
Let's go ahead and move back to your happiest moment with Jacob. Just be there and tell me all about it.
I'm on a walk. I'm walking through the hills of Ireland. It's my favorite place in the world to walk and touch the grass and the trees and feel the wind. I'm wearing a dress. It looks like a brown dress with furs over my shoulders to keep me warm. It's cold in Ireland, but it's not raining for once. I live alone in a field, a small cottage, not near anyone in town.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to go on these walks by myself. Sometimes I meet people on carts driving into town with their wares. On this day, I decide to look over the hills on top of a hill. And while I'm there, I see below a man walking with his sheep. He's dressed in very simple clothing, and he's blonde. He's too far away for me to hear him, but I can tell he's being very kind to his sheep as they follow him. There's so many of them. I'm curious to know who he is, because I've never seen him before. I don't meet him that day. I watch him walk below. I just observe. Curious because he looks like he's alone too. But he probably is married. Most shepherds are married.
Why is that?
Because in order to be a shepherd, you must have a wife. She must make the wool into clothing, into things that can be used.
Okay. So let's move to your cottage to know a little bit more about where you live. Describe it to me.
It's a stone cottage with hay as a roof on the top. Plants and flowers are growing in the seams. It's my favorite place to be.
Mm-hmm.
It was my grandmother's house. I inherited it from her. She was also a healer, but people respected her.
They did.
I have plants and flowers hanging from the ceiling and all sorts of vials and things to help people with.
Mm-hmm. Did your grandmother teach you that?
She taught me everything.
Mm-hmm.
I was an apprentice at her side. She was teaching me how to heal. My father was not a good man.
Why?
I think he abused me. He was a drunk, and he couldn't cope with the loss of my mother, so my grandmother took me away from him. I don't know where he is now. I think maybe he died somewhere, but I'm not sure. I haven't seen him since I was 7,
Okay.
and I'm 24 now.
You're 24. Tell me more about your grandmother teaching you about the plants and how to work with them.
She wrote everything down in a book. It was always a constant thing for her to write all of her knowledge in the book. So she would take me out to the hills, the forest, and show me about all the plants and herbs, flowers, and we would go back and write them in the book. She taught me to read and write, and when I was old enough, I would help her write everything we learned in those books. I was so happy there, but she was old and eventually passed away. But I was happy to be there with her. I was there in her final moments with her, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Beautiful. All right. So let's move to the day that you did meet Jacob. Tell me all about that.
I was on a walk again, only this time I went down the hill where I saw him walking last time. I had a hat, a bonnet on, and the wind was too strong, and it blew off my head. And I saw his sheep there. I think maybe I'd let the hat go on purpose. As the sheep went over to bite my hat, Jacob came to stop it, and he saw me standing there. And when we looked at each other, it was as if we found each other, like we had known each other all along. And he smiled at me. He had such a smile. It was like the sun. He handed me my hat back. I'd asked him if he had a wife, because all shepherds have wives, but he said this shepherd doesn't. I asked him why, and he said, I haven't found her yet. Which was such a strange answer to me. Marriage, at least from what everyone always said, was a given. Everyone had to be married. That's why I was so strange, because I wasn't. And I thought I would never be married, because I was already 24. No one would touch the woman who lived alone in a cottage.
Why is that?
Because I was an outcast. Strange. If any man decided to even try to talk to me, the village would always dissuade him from doing so. So I stopped trying. Eventually, only the women who were already married or young women and men who were married would come to me. The eligible men stayed away because all of their mothers told them to stay away from the girl. But it seemed like Jacob didn't care. He didn't know me because he was new to the area. He was helping his father after living away for a while in a war. He was a soldier, but he came back because he needed to help his ailing father, though he didn't know that I was a strange woman living alone. I didn't tell him right away because I thought he would think I was strange and wouldn't want to talk to me again. But he asked me to come to his home for dinner with his family, and that made me so happy to finally be with people who didn't want something from me. Everyone always came for ailments or potions. They never came just to talk. So I went with him back to his house that day with the sheep. Were so kind and felt so soft with their white coats. And we went home to his house. It was a small house made of wood, similar to my house, but without my charm.
Okay.
And his father His father had lost his leg in an accident that they didn't like to talk about. I didn't say anything about it because I didn't want to be rude, but we had a nice time, even though I could tell that his father knew that I was the woman who lived alone in the cottage. He didn't say anything.
Okay. All right. Anything else that's important here before we move ahead?
No.
So let's go ahead and move ahead to an important event.
Jacob comes to my home and he's angry at me. He's angry because I won't accept his hand in marriage. He knows that I love him, and I do, but I don't want him to be dragged down with me. I tell him that he deserves someone else, someone who's not outcasted like I am, deserves to have a good life, but he won't take no for an answer. I tell him that sometimes I hear things in the village of people who say that they want to hurt me, and that maybe they'll hurt him too if he marries me. But he doesn't care. He'd do anything to marry me. And so, with fear and reluctance, I do say yes. But despite my fear, I am so happy that he chose me to live with me.
Mm-hmm.
We get married, not in a church. We get married to each other in my favorite field on this hill. We make a pact that even though we're not in the house of God, that we are married together in our own hearts. And he gives me a ring made of iron, which is all he could afford. But it is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And I give him one that I've made out of the only things that I could find. This was some twine. He wears it proudly.
Tell me how his family reacted to your marriage.
His sister was happy for us, and his father said that he was, but because we weren't married in a church, because they were Catholic, he didn't recognize it as a true marriage. But he never said anything in front of me, but I knew that him and Jacob argued bitterly over it. And it did hurt to see him unhappy like that.
Mm-hmm.
His father did say that I was not allowed to live at their house. So Jacob said that he would live with me instead.
Mm-hmm.
So while he would still help his father, his home was with me.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's go ahead and move to the next important scene. What happens next?
He found a cat. We found a cat, and it's my cat from now.
You recognize the cat as your cat today?
Yes, we named her Sparrow
Mm-hmm.
then, but we were so happy to have her.
Yes.
We had such a nice time together, and we did try to have children, but it never seemed to work, and that got to me. I felt such sorrow because I couldn't give Jacob children. And while he reassured me that it would happen, I knew deep down that it wouldn't. And I felt the distance from him start because of it. Not on his part, but on mine. I drew away from him because of that. I thought maybe if I stepped away from him, he could find someone better. Find someone that would actually give him what he wanted, which was a family. And he told me he didn't care, but I knew that he did. I knew how much he'd given up to be with me. And it was getting worse in town now that he was with me. He thought that I had lured him there. A temptress, a woman of Satan, and that they had to get him out to save his soul. I dreaded going into town every day. Eventually, I went as little as possible. And every time Jacob would make me go, I would deal with hecklers. And he would try to make them stop, but they wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
I did have people who believed that I was good. There was many, mostly women.
They continued to see you?
Yes, many of them did. But then a rumor started. That I was indeed a witch.
Mm-hmm.
And it was becoming more and more believed. And people saw me less and less.
What was your understanding at that time of what a witch was?
Someone who was the wife of Satan. Someone who hexed people. Someone who cursed people. Someone who hurt people. I wasn't that person. I did nothing but help. I used methods they didn't understand, but that was only because I was taught from my grandmother those methods. They weren't strange, they were just different. They didn't believe me because I was different. The man who was pulling me from the horse, he was the one who started the rumor. Because he was jealous. And he wanted me. But I didn't want him.
Mm-hmm. Can we connect with this man? The man that started the rumor. Let's connect with his energy. And just tell me if you recognize his energy as someone in your life today.
I do.
Mm.
Someone who is not kind to me in this life either.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Okay. Let's leave this scene. Moving ahead. I'd like to go to that day that they came to get you. Who was it that came? Where were you when it happened?
I was in the field. It was a normal day. I was gathering herbs like I normally do. And I saw them coming from down the hillside. I could see everything from up on my hill. And I saw them coming.
Mm-hmm. How many?
2 soldiers on horses. One I knew, and many of the townspeople were behind him. It was Matthew on horseback. He was a soldier, a British soldier, who hated me because I was Irish. But I knew deep down that he really wanted me. And so he must have riled everyone up that night to finally eradicate me. It was a dread that I felt, but a dread that I knew would come eventually. I didn't know what to do in that moment. I knew I should run back to the cottage to tell Jacob, but maybe it would have been easier if I just stayed there and let them come and take me. But I had to go back. I had to go back. And it was all my fault.
Mm-hmm. Tell me what happened.
I ran back to to the cottage. And I told him we had to run or something. We had to do something. They were coming. And he said we should stand and face them and tell them who I really am, but I knew it was pointless. They didn't care. He didn't understand. He hadn't been there my whole life. They treated me this way. Thought he could reason with them. He really thought he could reason with them. But I knew otherwise. So he made us wait there until they came. And I remember sitting at the table, feeling nothing. They watched the light from their torches get closer. And I saw him through the window, standing in front of our house, burned into my memory.
What happened?
He was stabbed. Matthew stabbed him. I couldn't even move. I couldn't feel anything. I could see that the mob was taken aback because Matthew had killed him so coldly. But he had them so enthralled that they didn't do anything to stop him. And so I let them come and take me. They burst into my house and they stripped me down to my shift. They started to burn things and wreck things in my house. And I looked Matthew in the eyes as he tied my hands with rope. And I said to him, I'm not a witch. And I'm not going to burn in hell. But you will if you do this. But he didn't care. And so he dragged me behind his horse. I was standing, walking, trying to hold some semblance of dignity. But he would go faster and I would fall. But I would still stand. I wouldn't let him drag me behind him. And the townspeople, they walked behind me, and some of the women, I could see in their eyes that they knew that this was wrong. I could see that they wanted to help me. But I didn't blame them if they didn't. Because they could have been me. The circumstances had turned out differently. And so I looked at them, and with my eyes I tried to tell them that I forgave them. The people that I'd helped for most of my life, that I forgave them. And some cried for me, I could see. But the men just wanted me dead. I didn't even stand trial. I was just taken straight from my house to the square and up to the noose. And he put it around my neck and asked me if I wanted to say anything. And I looked out at the people, really looked. And there was a silence. It was strange after all of their shouting and yelling. I stayed silent for a long time, just staring at each and every one of them, making sure that they knew exactly what they were doing to me. And then I looked at Matthew, and then back out at the crowd. I closed my eyes, took a deep breath, and I said, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do." And I could tell that they were shocked by that. I was quoting Jesus, and I could tell that there was a small seed of doubt as I said those words. Maybe they were doing the wrong things. But Matthew knew that I had them coming to my side. And so he took hold of the lever that would release the trapdoor. and he killed me.
Just float above it. And as you look back at all the people, when it's over, what is it that you're thinking? What do you observe?
I can see that they're angry at him. They were angry at him for doing that. They were turning on him now, saying that maybe that he was wrong. They really did think I wasn't as bad as they always thought. I think they knew they made a mistake, but it was already too late. But I leave. I don't want to be a part of that scene anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I go back to the hills, and I look out at them one more time. And Jacob finds me. He's there where we met, and he said he's sorry. But I said that it's all right because we're together.
So tell me, now that you are reunited, where do you go next? What happens to your spirit bodies?
We become light together. Two lights floating around each other, moving past this world and into the next.
And so now that you're in the spirit realm, just tell me what the experience is like there. Who comes to greet you?
My spirit guide, he is there.
Mm-hmm. What do they look like?
He looks neither male nor female. This time he has wings. He looks more angelic than I've seen. He comes to greet both me and Jacob. And another spirit I don't know is there. He's Jacob's guide.
Mm-hmm.
He's brother. His brother and Jacob's spirit guide are related.
Okay.
They come to greet us, and they say that in this life and the next, and every life beyond, we will find each other. And that in the next life, it will be peaceful, and we will be safe. That is our next step in our journey.
Mm. And just for good measure, Jacob from that life, has he come into your current life yet?
I don't know. I want to look at him, really look at him, and
Mm.
see. Maybe one I've met recently. I haven't met him yet, but I've spoken with him.
You have. Mm-hmm.
I've seen his picture, and I thought he looked familiar, but I knew I'd never seen him before.
All right, let's go ahead now and have your grandmother from that life, the one that taught you how to work with plants, how to heal. Let's have her come forward now.
I believe that she is Bonnie, my
Okay.
mother's friend.
Mm-hmm.
She's like an aunt to me. I've known her since I was small.
Okay.
She loves nature and is always in nature and knows everything about plants and animals.
Mm-hmm.
She was my grandmother back then.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And so I'd like to ask your spirit guides, why was it important for you to learn about this particular life? You had mentioned that there was a nudge to meet with me again, to explore another session. Why was this one so important to be told?
She says, because I needed to know the truth before moving forward. I needed to heal the wounds and to know that it wasn't my fault and that Jacob loves me very much, but he also needs to heal from these wounds that he doesn't even know are there.
Mm-hmm.
But to be patient now that I know the truth, to start healing and to help him heal.